Let's delve into a story, a really dark one, unearthed from the forgotten history of a place called Nagarpur. This is a town where the secrets, well, they feel like they're baked into the very air you breathe. And this story is about a memory, one so traumatic, so powerful, it simply refuses to stay buried.
Right off the bat, we get this warning, and it's just chilling. This isn't just some old saying. It's a hint that what we're about to uncover isn't simple history you'd find in a textbook. No, this is something far more terrifying, a living horror that some people believe should have been left in the dark. So, welcome to Nagarpur. Picture a place that feels like it's crumbling, shrouded in this oppressive atmosphere, where whispers and rumors are the local currency. And right at the heart of all those whispers is an old woman named Moshina. Everyone knows of her, but nobody, and I mean nobody, truly understands her. To the villagers, Moshina is basically the local boogeyman. They see her as a witch, and that sound she's always making, that constant, unsettling grinding of her jaw, they don't think it's a medical condition, oh no. They're convinced she's having a conversation with spirits, with the dead, and that belief, well, it's left her completely and utterly alone. But here's the thing. What the villagers mistake for madness, for witchcraft, is something else entirely. It's a generational curse, an ancient, horrific trauma that's been passed down her family's bloodline. It has a name, the memory of teeth. And this curse, it's not just in her head. It is a daily, physical torment. Just try to imagine it. She feels the phantom sensation of cold metal pliers clamping down on her teeth. Her jaw grinds relentlessly, sometimes to the point where she claws at her own gums, desperate for relief, until all she can taste is blood. This is her reality, every single day. Now, into this grim, superstitious world steps a man named Elias. He's a young historian, very rational, very academic. He's come to Nagarpur to research the area's brutal history in the indigo trade. He's looking for facts and figures, not ghost stories. But as Elias starts digging through the old records, one name keeps popping up in connection to the old plantations, Moshina. Of course, every single person he asks warns him to stay away. They say she's crazy, that she's dangerous. But for a historian, finding a primary source, no matter how strange, it's like striking gold. His quest for history leads him straight to her little hut. And this is the moment where everything changes. With these words, Moshina is telling him, flat out, that the truth he's searching for isn't written on paper. It's a living, breathing thing. It's a history that's carried in her own blood. Elias is about to cross a line, leaving the world of academic research and stepping right into a living nightmare. So after this incredibly tense silence, Moshina finally starts to talk. She tells him the story of her ancestors who toiled on the indigo plantations, about the backbreaking labor, the brutal punishments, and then she reveals the specific monstrous cruelty that gave birth to the curse in the first place. You see, at the center of all this horror was the plantation owner. He wasn't just cruel, he was a sadist. And he had this specific, morbid fascination with teeth. He had this twisted belief that a person's spirit, their very strength, was held inside their teeth. And he didn't just believe it, he weaponized it. He used teeth as a tool for terror, a grotesque way to show his absolute and total power over the people he enslaved. It was a complete psychological domination. For any perceived infraction, his punishment was to have workers' teeth forcibly pulled out, usually with no anesthetic, nothing. He would then collect them, arranging them in these awful displays, a monument built from their pain and his own cruelty. As Moshina forces these words out, something in the tiny hut begins to shift. It's like the act of telling the story is feeding the curse. The air gets thick, heavy. You can almost smell phantom scents of old blood and rusted metal. The memory isn't just being remembered, it's waking up. Moshina's voice drops to this terrified whisper. She can feel it, the curse growing stronger, becoming more than just a memory. It's becoming an active presence in the room with them, an entity that remembers the pain, and worse, it's hungry. And then suddenly, she just collapses. The grinding sound of her jaw is no longer a quiet, rhythmic thing. It's a deafening, sickening, mechanical crunch that echoes in the tiny space. The curse is taking over, showing its full, horrifying power.
Elias, our rational man of science, he doesn't think, he just reacts. He rushes to help this poor old woman who's convulsing on the floor. He reaches out, he touches her, and in that one moment of contact, the barrier between observer and victim is utterly shattered. He feels it, instantly. A white-hot, agonizing pain explodes in his own mouth, in his teeth, as if a pair of pliers were digging into his molar. In a split second, the curse stopped being her story and became his reality. The pain was real.
Morshina just lets out this raw, primal scream. She's not telling a story anymore. This is a desperate, terrified warning. The entity, the memory, is fully awake, and its hunger is now fixed on him. And that's it. Elias breaks. All his academic curiosity, his research, it's all gone, just vaporized by pure terror. Clutching his own aching jaw, he scrambles out of that hut and flees into the pouring rain, with Machina's awful, inhuman screams chasing him into the night.
Elias does make it back to the city, but he is not the same man who left. Not even close. He didn't just hear a terrible story. He became part of it. The whole experience left him spiritually broken, haunted not just by what he saw, but by what he felt. Because the curse, it left a piece of itself with him. Now he lives with this constant chilling ache in his own teeth. When everything is quiet, he can sometimes hear a faint grinding sound, an echo of Moshina's pain. And above all, he carries this deep, unshakable certainty that he didn't really get away at all. See a curse like this, a trauma this deep, it wants to survive. It wants to spread. And in his quest to simply document the past, Elias accidentally offered it a future. By touching Machina, by feeling her pain, he became fertile ground for that horrific memory to plant a new seed. And that is the question that leaves us in the dark. Elias may have escaped the hut, but he carries a piece of the curse inside him now. And a memory like that, it can be very, very patient. It's found new soil, so the only question left is, how long until it gets hungry again?